The Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Chair. Mr Chair, I want to pick up on Mr Robertson's point, but I just want to express some disappointment. This is an SOP. Let's be very clear about it. So in February of this year, the government introduces the legislation, 26th of February. The process is that it goes before FEC, was referred to the Select Committee on the 11th of March, closing date for submissions 30th of April, received the submissions, heard them, and it came back to the House. And throughout that whole period, sir, this particular issue relating to GST and bodies corporate was never raised with the committee by officials, was never raised by government members, we were never written to, excuse me sir, we were never written to by the Minister to deal with this. It came into the House, and I think it was the 19th of October when, in a speech that myself and other colleagues made, we raised it with the Minister. The first time this issue was raised, and we provided actually quite a detailed explanation as to the potential impact if this hole wasn't plugged, if the issue wasn't dealt with, the potential impact on small businesses. It took the Minister then over a month to get back to us on the 17th of November. And his opening a line to me, sir, in his letter was, I refer to your letter of the 20th of October, 15, and the matters you raised in your speech, blah, blah, blah. I acknowledge your concerns about the historical uncertainty surrounding GST treatment of unit titled bodies corporate. I agree that it is desirable to provide greater certainty to GST registered persons and businesses that tax positions taken during this time will not be reopened. Now, that was introduction in February, after a whole series of departmental reports and research and papers to Cabinet and what have you. That was February. It took him till the 17th of November, where the scales fell from his eyes, to actually realise that this was a problem and do something about it. That was quick, yeah. Now, my question is this: how on earth, I say to the Minister, and forgive me, the Minister is not the Portfolio Minister in the chair, but represents the Portfolio Minister nonetheless. And I'm surprised that the Portfolio Minister, sir, hasn't taken a call, I think, at any stage this evening on these pieces of legislation. This was a monumental stuff-up. A monumental stuff-up, sir, which would have cost small businesses goodness knows how many, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars across the board, we don't know. And what I'd like to know from the Minister, because it goes to looking at future tax bills, what confidence do we have that there won't be another hole in another piece of legislation that maybe opposition members don't pick up on to dig the government out of the mire and it goes through? An explanation is that I think is warranted because it goes to the credibility and integrity of the Minister of Revenue and via the Minister of Revenue to the IRD itself. Why was this missed? Was it known about? If it was known about, and the advice I have from industry is that it was known about for quite a length of time, but nothing was done. If nothing was done, was that because officials were negligent? Was that because the Minister knew about it and didn't clear the paper on his desk between February of this year and the 17th of November? Didn't bother about it, didn't care about it, didn't think it was a big issue. Well, he did think it was a big issue and it was raised in this House, and I suspect he went back and went, oops, we've got a major problem. Why did it take a month to correct? Why wasn't the FEC, sir, informed of this as we examined the bill? Because this is just not a small SOP, this is a major. As to Mr Robertson's point, it is fanciful that an arbitrary date of the date of introduction was proposed as the mechanism in the Minister's SOP. He doesn't give any explanation for why. He just says, well, date of introduction, so what? He doesn't acknowledge that there will be those who will be impacted on this in terms of double taxed under GST and denied refunds, unless we adopt the date that I've proposed, which is the 1 April date in 2016. So if it's agreed that people are going to be double taxed under GST and denied refunds, could an opposition member, or maybe the chair of the Select Committee, Mr Bennett, who was running the show, tell us, are they in agreement with that? Are they happy that that inequity will exist? They're happy that people will be double taxed under GST. This is the party that purports to support, sir, small business. As the Minister, Mr Chair,
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
is the Minister happy with that inequity? Is the Minister going to propose any other amendments to remedy it? Because we've done most of the work for him. It'd be good if he took this point on. Perhaps the Minister and the Chair could turn to the officials and ask them that question, because there's no explanation as to why date of introduction was chosen. Apart from, finger in the air, maybe the Minister tossed a coin, rolled a few dice, I don't know, watched two flies run up a wall, lotto numbers, horoscope, who knows. But this is a very serious issue, because small businesses and others in this situation will be double taxed in respect of GST and will be denied refunds. Now, if the government's just happy to sit there and go, tough, well, that's okay, that's now on record. But I don't see any of the three. I think there's two members of the FEC here, sir. There's Mr Bennett, the Chair. No Minister has taken a call to answer any of these questions. No Minister. It is bad law, sir. It is extremely bad process, and it's extremely bad for the credibility and integrity of the IRD, who I've got to say generally, sir, have been pretty good, up until a few recent incidences over the last Parliament, in terms of advice. But the FEC got zero advice on this. Were the officials told by the Minister to provide no advice on this issue? These are questions that could be answered. Why was it missed? Why was it missed through the Cabinet process? Why was it missed through the FEC in terms of advice? Why, when it came back from FEC into this House and we were examining it, did the Minister of his own volition not put an SOP in to correct it? Why did it take a letter from me and pressure from opposition members to get this thing corrected? And there isn't politics in this. This is an issue about the quality of advice, the accountability of ministers, and whether ministers are up to it. Whether they're actually up to it. Whether they're reading the papers, whether they're asking the questions. And I'm also advised that members of industry, sir, canvassed this issue with officials, with the department, with the Minister, and nothing was done. Not a thing.
Goodness.
Not a thing, sir. And so thousands of small businesses could be just thrown on the heap and impacted in respect of their GST. Well, the Minister's provided a partial solution, but it appears that the government is still prepared to have people double taxed under GST and denied refunds, simply because they've plucked a date of February 2015 out of their heads and put it in this legislation, say that's the drop-dead date. Could the Minister advise us, as she's writing down the list of questions, why that is fair? Why that is equitable? Is she prepared to revisit this issue and change those dates? And if the Minister's not, could she advise us why? If she feels it's equitable to have people double taxed and refunds denied, could she provide us with an explanation, sir? Could Mr Macleay, the Revenue Minister, who is probably hiding under a desk, obviously, because he hasn't taken a call on this, sir, hiding under the desk or under the table or somewhere, I don't know, a burrow somewhere around this chamber, sir, gone down one, because I would have thought, given that he missed it, he didn't punch the ticket, sir, that he would actually be taking a call and be explaining this, because courts, of course, sir, do look at these debates if there is court action around this, and they do actually look at this into these debates in terms of the evidential value. But it is arrogant for a minister to say, this is what I'm going to do. I know there's an inequity inherently in this. I know people will be double taxed under GST. And I wonder if the vintner, sir, down the back, who normally gets up, sir, Mr Scott, and has a crack at us and says we're out of touch with small businesses, we don't know what we're talking about, it's all nanny state, PC. Well, I wonder if Mr Scott's going to get up and tell us whether he's happy with people being double taxed under GST and businesses being denied their refunds. Oh, silence, silence, silence from all those members over there, even the one in the middle. Silence, sir. They're prepared to do this, they're prepared to see this inequity, slide through, and it'll be interesting to see what the one in the middle, sir, does when he goes back to his constituents, whether he goes down a burrow in the electorate, or when people front up and say, hang on, why am I being dealt to? Why is the guy down the road, it's okay for them, they get treated fairly, but because of a date that member's party plucked out of nowhere, I'm double taxed and I'm denied my refunds. I wonder what his explanation, sir, will be to small businesses. Will he be able to say, well, here's an explanation for the Minister? No, because the Minister won't answer any questions. Maybe he can. Maybe he can whip down the borough, follow the minister down there and change his mind.
Dr.